Alright, here we go. Despite the ads, we're gonna be here in a minute. That's kind of cool.
Tarkir Dragonstorm is a new set that will
Okay, here we go. I got it set up. Okay, okay. Ooh, who the heck is that? Oh. When you cast a spell, exile up to one target permanent that's one or more colors. Whenever you cast a color spell, exile up to one target permanent that's one or more colors. +2, you gain 3 life. Interesting. Maelstrom of the Spirit Dragon. Tab, add colorless, add 1 mana of any color, spend this mana only to cast a dragon spell or an omen spell. Dude, I'm freaking loving these Takir cards already. These might help out the, Whoa, I didn't get to see that. Rolling Dragonstorm? Elspeth Storm Slayer. I didn't get to see the Rolling Storm card. What was that? Ah, here we go. Rolling Dragonstorm. When this enchantment enters, draw 2 cards, then discard a card. When a dragon you control enters, return this enchantment to its owner's hand. Not bad. Not bad. Okay, we saw that. Mox Jasper. Who the heck is that? When Sarkhan enters, you may behold a dragon if you do. What? Okay, that sounds interesting. Ooh. 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 That's cool. That's a dog monk. Raksha's bargain. Look at the top. What? Oh. Oh. Ooh. As this enchantment enters, choose Jeskai or Tamir. Whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. Tamir creatures you control get +1/+0. Where? Here. I got it.
And speaking of choosing between the clans, the 5 clans of Tarkir have weathered dragon storms and changes to their timelines to emerge with new strength. Each clan features a combination of old and new elements that will feel both familiar and refreshing. No longer under the thrall of the Dragon Lords, these clans have each appointed
Dude,
a
I like
humanoid
the
leader,
style of the monks
but they
in
have
this
also
game, or
each
the
found a
Mongolians in this
dragon
game.
representative
This
of
is
their
so cool.
guiding
Wait.
ethos.
Shiko
The
Paragon of the Way.
Abzan are a clan empowered by their connection with their ancestors' spirits. Their Khan leader, Felothar, maintains this connection through sacred kin trees, which link them to their predecessors. One familiar face
Wait.
is Anafenza.
Are they bringing
Found
that
wandering
mechanic
the
back?
Abzan
Khans or
territories,
dragons?
This powerful remnant of an older Tarkir protects the clan from danger. Her card features the Endure mechanic, which lets you choose between +1/+1 counters or a spirit token to remember the legacy of fallen friends. Beitor, kin to all, is the ultimate expression of the Abzan's ancestry.
Wait,
A collective consciousness made up of all Abzan past and present. This dragon is able to solve problems by drawing on a vast collection of knowledge and memories, making them invaluable to the reconstituted Abzan. However, Beitor may also be self-contradicting, as the many voices that make up this dragon do not always agree. The Jeskai are a clan known for their monk practitioners of the Way, who seek to achieve peace through unity. Divided amongst 3 primary monasteries, the Jeskai are devoted to using their knowledge of the past and belief in the Way to bring their plane together. They are led by the former planeswalker Narset, who is
look
seen
at the
here
top 3
discovering
cards of
lost
your library,
knowledge in the
put
Jeskai
one of them
archives,
into your hand, the rest
and
of the
using
bottom of
that
your
magic
library
to
in
summon
any
the
order.
spirit dragons to defeat the Dragon Lords.
Okay,
She
that's
knows
Saga
that her
1 and
clan
2.
is key to
Whenever you
tackling the
cast a
threat of the Dragon
non-creature
Storm.
spell, this... Okay, I didn't get
Shiko,
through.
Paragon
Ooh,
of
who
the
the
Way,
heck is this?
shares the Jeskai's vision of a unified Tarkir.
What, Shiko?
She keeps
Flying
an eye on
runs when
Jeskai
Shiko
territory,
enters,
offering
exile target
advice and
non-land
stepping in
card
when
with
needed.
mana value
A
3 or
fitting
less from
dragon
your
for a
graveyard.
collection
Copy
of
it, then you may
wise and
cast the
thoughtful
copy.
practitioners.
No
She
way!
seeks to understand the goals,
A
beliefs,
dragon
and actions
copy.
of
That's
others
one,
in order to
two.
best fulfill her role of guiding them towards
That's
the way.
5 mana in total. Holy cow.
Technologically advanced nomadic warriors,
Mardu? Okay.
the Mardu meet any challengers with an all-out assault. The Mardu field armies of
Creatures you control get a
lightning-wielding
+1/+1
fighters and
and have
archers,
Death
to the
Touch?
chagrin of their enemies.
When this
This
enchantment
mighty army is
enters,
led
if it's...
and
Oh my
coordinated by their
god.
Great Khan, Zergo Stormrender. The Mardu were exhausted and weakened by the Dragon Lords and multiversal invasions of the past few years. But they have been reinvigorated by the spirit dragon Neri.
Nirav, Heart of the Storm,
Storm.
flying. If that
He is the
creature you
marshal of
control
their
that
forces,
entered this turn would deal
leading them
damage
into
and
battle against the other clans
Oh
and anyone else who might
my
stand
god.
in their way.
I'm gonna be making that.
The Sultai clan dwell deep within the
Hey,
jungles
I gotta
of
make
Tarkir.
that. That
They survive
sounds...
by
Oh
nurturing
my
both the
god.
living through their efficient farms, and the dead through their equally
That
efficient
sounds
necromancy.
juicy.
The Sultai have a deep respect and connection with both the living and the dead. The returned dead are given positions of honor and leadership, not servitude. With their stealth and cunning, the Sultai are not to be trifled with. Sidisi is a powerful Naga who has risen through the ranks of her people in each version of Tarkir. Originally a Khan of the Sultai, Sidisi's authority came from being a vizier for the Dragon Lord
Sacrifice
Silumgar.
creature control
Now
mana
that the
value
old
X
Dragon
other than
Lords,
Sidisi.
including
Return target creature
Silumgar,
card
have
mana value
fallen.
X1+.
Sidisi has found a new path to power. She rules over the northern swamps as a terrifying undead being. Once an unassuming human farmer, Kotis, the Fangkeeper, led his village in the rebellion against Silumgar. Never
Okay.
wanting to be a warrior or leader, Kotis was partially responsible for Sidisi's fall. Though he was killed in the Phyrexian invasion, his people could not do without him. They revived him in a necromantic ritual, and reinstated him as leader, a position he holds still. Teval is a symbol for the Sultai's rejection of the old
I gotta
ways.
find that card
The
I was gonna
tyranny
try
of
to build.
Silumgar
Where is
has
it?
no place in their new way of being. Instead, Teval acts as an impartial judge, maintaining balance and arbitrating the clan's conflict impartially. The Temur are adapted to live in the freezing cold
This is the
and
card I
work
want to build.
alongside their animal companions. This clan has an advantage over others in the form of their whisperers, who utilize the spirits of the land to predict the future. In their wisdom, the whisperers have also selected the Temur's current leader, Eshki Dragonclaw. Ureni, the song unending, was brought forth to reconnect the Temur to the land they relied upon. Deeply invested in the clan and the well-being of the land, Ureni provides counsel and guidance to the Temur, working and living closest with their whispers. Ureni also acts as fearsome protector of both the Temur whisperers and of the Temur lands as a whole. Their signature spell lets you send away uninvited creatures back to where they came from.
Irani's rebuff?
It also features the Harmonize mechanic, which allows you to
Oh.
recast it from your graveyard by tapping into the powers of your clan. Craterhoof Behemoth is an exciting reprint. This beast emphasizes that the dragons, the Dragonstorms, and other clans are not the only dangers players will face on Tarkir. As Eshki Dragonclaw of the Temur clan says, some days you wish you were fighting a dragon. Tarkir Dragonstorm features a commander deck for each of the 5 clans.
Who is that? I want
These
to know who
decks
that
will
is.
spotlight the humanoid leaders of the clans.
What's
as
the
well as their
character? I want to
spirit
go back to
dragon
that.
allies. This white-black-green commander deck is
Ooh,
led
the
by the
precons.
Khan of the
Here we go.
Abzan clan,
Precons.
Felothar the Steadfast. As a mighty warrior and leader of her people, Felothar turns your toughness into vicious attack power. To the Abzan, the best offense is often a good defense. If you enlist Beitor, Ancestor's Voice, as your commander, utilize life gain and life loss to buff your creatures and return them from the graveyard. Fitting for the spirit dragon who operates as a combined consciousness of Abzan past and present. The blue-red-white commander deck of the Jeskai clan is led by Shiko and Narset unified. A combination of the Jeskai clan's legendary leader and their newly incarnated dragon. This rapid-fire duo doubles your spells and stocks up on card draw. Elsha, Threefold Master, is another powerful commander in the Jeskai clan. Utilizing the monastic discipline of the Jeskai, this deck allows you to focus your flurries on multiple targets, boost your attackers, and leave nothing standing in your way. The black-green-blue commander deck of the Sultai brings the deadly cunning of this clan to bear on your enemies. Fill your graveyard to provide yourself with bonus mana and an army of zombie druids. Teval, the balanced scale, raises the dead to fight again. While Teval may largely serve as an arbitrating force for Clan Sultai, the mighty dragon is not above assisting them by reviving Sultai warriors from beyond the grave. Kotis, Sibsig Champion, is one such undead member of the Clan Sultai. He continues to serve his people even after death, leading their undead armies to victory. The Mardu electrify the battlefield with this red-white-black commander deck. Boost your token production to burn bright and fast, then gain more rewards when they burn out. Another rebel against the Dragon Lords,
The next
the
end
Orc
step, whatever
warrior
creature
once
token you
known
control
as
is the battlefield.
Zergo Bellstriker,
Draw a card if it was
successfully
attacking,
led
otherwise
his
each
people
opponent.
against the Dragon Lord Kolaghan.
Ooh!
Renamed
Ooh!
Zergo Stormrender, he currently leads the Mardu against any other threats that dare to cross their path. Zergo has a powerful ally in the mighty dragon Nereeve, Crackling Vanguard. He represents the
That's
spirit
cool.
of the Mardu, swift, powerful, and willing to strike at a moment's notice. The Temur draw on the power of the land to field a green-blue-red deck, which builds up mana early, before filling the board with formidable creatures and bumping up their stats. Eshki, Temur's Roar, was a skilled hunter and wrestler during the reign of the Dragon Lords, but the Phyrexian invasion forced her to take up the reins of leadership. Eventually, Eshki was named Dragonclaw. With the blessing of the Temur Whisperers and their new dragon ally, Ureni of the Unwritten, the Temur clan is teaming up with the Dragons of Tarkir to deliver death on swift wings. Ramp until you cast Ureni to summon a flight of dragons to descend upon your opponents. This set wouldn't be complete without a few exciting new card treatments. The thing about Dragon Storms is that they're full of dragons. Dragon's Eye basic lands combine mana with the might to give an up-close and personal perspective on Tarkir's dragons. Ghostfire and Halo Foil Ghostfire. The Elder Dragon Ugin's influence over Tarkir is manifest in new Ghostfire cards.
Whoa.
Special art and card frames imbued with Ugin's ethereal
That's so
presence.
sick.
We've brought back the Halo Foil treatment on Ghostfire cards, giving these already stunning cards an extra flourish.
Dude, that looks so cool.
Borderless reversible cards. Deadly dragons can have a cute side, even Ugin, with 6 new borderless reversible cards, each featuring a fearsome and adorable version of your favorite winged creatures. Borderless clan cards. Battle alongside Temur, Jeskai, Abzan, Sultai,
What
Mardu
the
with borderless
huh?
clan cards. Special treatments
That's
that
a
unite
that's a
each of
thing. That's the
5
border of the
clans across
cards. That looks
57 cards.
interesting.
Draconic cards. Add some dragons to your collection with new Draconic cards. A flight of powerful
Ooh.
dragons and new thematic
Ooh.
art and card frames. This set
God,
is
these
full
look
of
so
familiar
sick. Oh my
elements
God,
that have
this
been
looks so
thoughtfully
sick,
refreshed,
bro.
and that extends to other classic cards as well.
Oh, that's
Keep
cool.
an eye out for this
Un-
set's reprints of the legendary Ultimatum cards. Eerie
Ultimatum cards.
Emergent Ultimatum, Genesis Ultimatum, Inspired Ultimatum, and Ruinous Ultimatum. These powerful cards require 7 colored mana each, but they are worth it, with effects that can devastatingly alter the course of a game. This set also includes a beautiful series of fetch lands appearing in the special guest slot: Marsh Flats, Scalding Tarn, Verdant Catacombs, Arid Mesa, and Misty Rainforest. These enemy color fetches bring unrivaled flexibility to your decks, powering all your favorite strategies no matter which clan claims your allegiance. Get your hands on new textured dragon scale foil fetch lands that bring Tarkir to life, exclusively in collector boosters, making them the perfect addition when enhancing your library. You could also be one of only 500 people in the world to
Holy
open an
shart.
exclusive, serialized Mox Jasper card, rare even in Tarkir. Tarkir is now bigger and bolder than ever, filled with cinematic action, dynamic clan gameplay, and powerful new dragons that add lasting firepower to your collection. You can play early at your local game store for pre-release, starting the
April
weekend
4th.
of April 4th, and on Arena April 8th. Otherwise, Tarkir Dragonstorm will be available everywhere April 11th. And if you'd like to learn more about Elspeth and Narset's battle to contain the multiversal Dragonstorms and defeat Sarkhan Vol, you can read the full story online now. Get ready for the new age of Tarkir. Join your clan. Break the storm.
Wow. Weekly MTG starting soon after the debut. Okay.
Hello and welcome to the weekly MTG After Show. We just saw 20 minutes of so much Tarkir Dragonstorm, so much cool stuff, and we're going to spend the next hour kind of doing the same thing. We're going to dive deep into some of what we just saw. We're going to reveal some new cards as well, and we're going to spend some time talking about all of it with our two fantastic guests. So we have Jadine and Lauren. Why don't you introduce yourselves? Tell us a little bit about what you did for Tarkir Dragonstorm.
Yeah, I'm Jadine. I worked on the game design and the play design parts of the set, getting the right numbers on the cards, figuring out how everything could be the most fun, and some of the final mechanical changes to the cards.
I'm Lauren. I was the narrative lead on this set, and so responsible for a lot of our world building updates, working alongside our consultants, and then kind of at the card level, getting the cool pictures of art alongside our art directors onto each card.
Yeah, and chat was going nuts, rightfully so, over some of those treatments. So we are going to spend some time talking about that as well. We're going to talk about mechanics. We're going to talk about world building. We're going to reveal some previews that we just felt like showing off because we like them. We're going to talk about play promos. There's a secret layer we're going to talk about. We got so much we're going to pack into an hour. We are just going to get going. We're going to lead off by diving a little bit deeper into the mechanics, complete with our first preview card and a character we all know and hate. We've got Taigam, Master
That's who that
Opportunist.
is.
So we've got a 2/2.
Whenever
human
you
monkey,
cast
2
your
mana.
second
It's a good
spell
deal.
each
With
turn,
Flurry.
copy it, then
Jamie, what
exile
is
the spell you
Flurry?
cast
What's
with
it doing in
4
this
time
set?
counters.
Yeah, so Flurry is the clan mechanic for the
On it,
Jeskai.
if it doesn't
is an
have
ability word
suspend,
that
it
just
gains
means
suspend.
you
At
get
the
something
beginning
when
of
you
its
cast
owner's
2
upkeep, they
spells.
remove a time counter.
So
When the
original
last
Cons of
is
Tarkir,
removed, they
prowess
may play
was the
without
mechanic,
paying its mana
care about
cost. If it's
casting
a
lot of
creature,
spells.
it has
Here we've
haste.
said,
Oh,
all right,
wow.
choose the number. Get good at double spelling, do it as much as possible, we'll reward you.
And the reward here is kind of wild.
Yes, this is a very cool card. I might say this a few times today, but this is one of Play Design's favorite cards from the set. Just
Yep.
a card that people loved playing with and play testing with, and thought was just so much fun. You get your cards more. You get copy the spell, so you'll get it right now when your second spell. 4 turns later, you get it again, and that sounds cool. But if you start thinking about it, once you get that card again, it gets really easy to double spell
Yeah.
every single turn. You'll get to a point where you have multiple cards on suspend, and you're just kind of like, oh wow, I'm doing this automatically. It just really pops off. It's very cool.
Great.
I think I
Lauren,
also,
yeah, what,
Yeah, I was
what's
gonna say, I
what's
love
Taigam
how
up
this-
to?
he's up to his old nonsense again. So in the original set, like the very first time we see him, he's a defector from the Jeskai into the Sultai, and then like he isn't. And the next time we see in Dragons, and so we kind of wanted to play a little bit that. If you read the fiction, you'll see a little bit more of what he's up to. But I also love that this mechanic both leans into his very plotting side and also the kind of time shenanigan weirdness of his character.
Yeah, and JD, we're not seeing other suspends.
No, the clan mechanic here is Flurry. This is the only suspend card.
All right. Next up, let's take a look at this borderless clan card. So we saw again this treatment in the debut. It's really striking. Striking. That's not an intended pun, but we're gonna go with it.
Ooh.
Yeah. Looks
Huge
fantastic.
news. We
We're
just
gonna
got
talk a little
the-
bit later about where
We're getting some
and
news this
in what
week.
packs you
Shattered
can
Veil
find
is the
all
new
of these
zombies map
treatments.
that we play April.
Next, let's move on to Mobilize. JD, tell us about this mechanic.
Yeah, so this is the Mardu mechanic. Mobilize is just a keyword ability for your creatures. When you attack with them, you get
Rest
a
in peace
tap
to
and
the voice
attacking
actor of Courage the
1/1.
Cowardly Dog.
There's a parameter
Rest in
there.
peace.
This card has Mobilize 1. There are higher Mobilize numbers in the set, and those will create more tokens,
More
not bigger
tokens,
tokens.
not
So
bigger. Okay.
Mobilize 2, you'd make 2 1/1s tapped and attacking. They go away at the end of the turn. So clearly some aggressive applications, but it was really fun designing this, figuring out all the other things you can do with temporary 1/1s that aren't just getting more damage in. So there's a lot of really cool stuff here.
Yeah, and we've seen, Mardu has always been about attacking, so having the mechanic be based on attacking makes a ton of sense. How did you land on this token creating? Take
Dragonback
on Mardu.
Lancer.
Yeah, going wide is just kind of like a key thing that we wanted somewhere for one of the clans. Mardu made a lot of sense. Needing to find an aggressive element for a clan to have and an identity to have that would also have some cool synergy applications so that it wouldn't be too fast and that the dragons also will get to shine and we're not being just beaten too fast in games of limited.
All right. Let's continue on and take a look at Renew. So this is Agent of Codus. 2/1, 1 blue for a human rogue. It has Renew, 3 and a blue. Exile this from your graveyard. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on the creature. activate only as a sorcery. Yeah, JD, renew.
Yeah, graveyard relevant ability, very fitting for the Sultai. Just kind of make your creature stronger most of the time. I'll mention that this is not always +1/+1 counters, but it is always counters.
Yeah,
So
okay.
there are other ways to use this, and we'll see them someday.
Yeah, and I think in the debut, the counters, there was like Death Touch, Lifelink counters, and all kinds of. So the renew always puts counters.
Yes.
Always on creatures or always on permanents.
Always on creatures.
Okay. All right. Lauren, who is, for those who don't know, we've got some pretty cool flavor text here. Who is Codis?
So Codis is the new leader of the Sultai, and for this card, we kind of wanted to reflect like one of the ways the Sultai maintain their powers is through a network of spies. So if you take a look at the art, this is a Sultai character like very clearly spying on a Jeskai monastery for the Fangkeeper, which is the leader of the Sultai.
All right. Next, let's move on to our next mechanic, Endures. Not reach, as we joked beforehand. When this creature enters, so this, I don't know, this something Earth Carver. I don't know how to pronounce that. When this creature enters, it endures 3, which is put 3 +1/+1 counters on it, or create a 3/3 white.
it's pronounced as
spirit
Dusyut,
creature
Earth
token.
Carver?
How do we land on this, JD?
Yeah,
Seems
so
about
this
right.
is the Abzan mechanic.
No, it's- I think it's
Last in
Egyptian.
Khans of
Egyptian name.
Tarkir, the Outlast mechanic grew your creatures over time with a very endurance feel to it. We
Yep.
just went for that name this time, but kind of the same vibe. Just a choice between getting a creature to grow your forces or for making a bigger creature here. Now we've seen enough of these that you can start to see some of the ways we're blending and having synergy between the clans. Endures is in some ways a counter mechanic, so if you play it with some Sultai cards, you can care about counters.
Yep.
In some ways, it's a go wide mechanic, so if you play it with Mobilize, you can care about having a wide board. So just kind of an interesting way of playing with a lot of what's going on in the set.
Okay. Now, chat's asking about, was this mechanic, did it come from Fabricate, or was it developed independently? How did you all arrive at this?
I would say it was developed independently, but we certainly design in the context of most of the things we've done before. So I imagine the people who came up with Endures had seen Fabricate before, and it's a bit of a twist.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to a mechanic that definitely doesn't draw 3 cards in green. And I'm giving Lauren a little crap here, but it's Harmonize.
I stand by my decision.
We'll talk about that in a second. All right, so this is Roamer's Routine. So this is the version of, you search your library for a basic land card, put it in the battlefield tapped, shuffle. So for 2 and a green, we see a lot of variations of this. But Jadine, it's got that Harmonize ability. First, let's talk about the ability, then we'll talk about the name.
Yeah. So Harmonize is the Teamer mechanic. It is a flashback variant, a way to cast your instant and sorcery spells from the graveyard with the twist of being cost reduced by a power of a creature you control. So Harmonize is, to me, the biggest mechanical vibe shift between what we
Roamer's
saw from the clan
Routine.
last, where Ferocious and Teamer really cared about big creatures. And here we're leaning more into kind of the spell casting part of that identity. Still caring about big creatures. It's really powerful to do this with a 4-power creature and only have 1 mana, but we get to see just kind of a different look at it. This mechanic's pretty fun.
Yeah. So, obviously there's some mechanical threads to like convoke. So couple questions people might have. Can you only tap 1 creature to pay for Harmonize, or can you tap multiple?
Yes, it is 1 creature.
Okay. And so it just cares about that 1 creature's power.
Yep.
All right. Okay, let's move on to Omen. So as a few people in chat pointed out, this looks like adventure, but there's some pretty important differences, Jadine.
Yeah, so we just looked at the 5 clan mechanics. This is one of the dragon mechanics, another very important part of Tarkir. So we wanted something for the dragons so they didn't feel left out and got to feel like an important part of the set. But why this isn't exactly adventure comes down in technical game design term to dragons. Dragons have very specific constraints, and we want to put a lot of the power of dragons into the creature side and let them be big and awesome. And when you do that with normal adventure, and I should clarify here for anybody who hasn't caught up, the difference is these shuffle into your deck instead of hanging out to be cast later. So you'll still, if you use the Omen side, still get to cast the dragon eventually. You just have to draw it again.
Yeah.
So if we did this as adventure, the dragons would end up getting to look a lot less cool. The numbers would be lower. They wouldn't be quite as much threats on the battlefield. Just how cards are balanced. This is just kind of how it plays out. So this twist on the mechanic really let us make the dragon part of these cards as awesome as dragons needed to be. And it's ultimately a solve for letting us put a lot of really cool dragons in the set by giving them some modality.
Now, and here we see the draconic version of this card, which is really cool. So I did have a question. So, you know, it's got that subtype Omen, which speaks to what you do when you cast it. Is there anything in the set that cares about when you cast an Omen or anything like that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. We'll wait and see that. We don't have that for a preview card today. But
there is not a lot, but there is one or two cards that care about the Omen subtype.
okay. Let's move on to the next mechanic, which is Behold. So we saw this actually a while
Behold.
ago in the first look.
To behold a dragon,
but,
choose a
Dean,
dragon you
how
control
important
or
is
reveal a
Behold
dragon
to
card from
set?
your hand.
The
Target
hold is somewhat important, I would say. I don't think it shows up as a lot of the other mechanics. So in terms of what's
my
showing
God.
up, probably a little less. But it is so fun, and I just kind of love.
Dude,
the
that is
action
so
of going, Hey,
cool.
look, this is my dragon, and because I get to point to this, and you know it's coming or it's already here, my spell is getting bigger. So what this does for the set is an incentive to play a sizable quantity of dragons in your deck so that you can have one consistently to show for these cards. And just kind of reward you for playing with dragons, some of the coolest things going on.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, this is we're going to talk about throwbacks to the original block quite a bit, but this mechanic is a direct reference to a non-named mechanic in the original Tarkir block.
Right. The card I think about the most is Silumgar's Scorn,
Same,
where you
yep.
could reveal a dragon from your hand to upgrade your counterspell to a full counterspell. Very influential in the standard format of the
Yep.
time. Had some awkward tension at times, but we thought it was a really cool thing going on, and was awesome the way that format played out, where you would play decks with like 7 or 8 dragons because you wanted to power up your stuff, and we thought we could tap into some of that magic, get us some new technology here. On Tarkir, we're beholding dragons, but in the future, we could behold
What
a
is
lot of
happening,
dragons.
bro?
It's pretty nice.
What is this
and,
card?
much like
I
some of the
can't
swords,
believe
the-
they
the
did
one
this.
mana
Wait,
off
as an
on this
additional
one was
cost to
really
cast,
powerful,
behold a
right?
dragon
Like, I
or
don't know.
pay 1.
I can't think of
Oh,
another 1 mana black spell that gives -3/-3.
Not at instant speed.
Not
yeah,
certainly
this
not
is,
at instant speed. Yeah.
if you always behold a dragon, this is a very powerful card.
All right, and it's serviceable at 2 mana too.
Yep.
All right. Our final mechanic.
Oh my God.
Is going to be hybrid mana, which is something we see now and then. But how does this play out in the set?
Yeah, so Tarkir is a 3-color set, and 3-color sets can be kind of challenging to play with. So here we're using it mostly for this two-brid thing going on and letting us make some 3-color cards that are a little more forgiving if you end up off a color. Just kind of as a way to smooth out your games and just say, all right, you are playing a 3-color deck, but you didn't draw your green source. It's okay. You can still play this a turn later.
And so obviously you have this as a color smoothing mechanic in Limited. What else did you do in Limited to balance out the ability to play 3 colors?
Mana fixing is one of the big ones. Speed of the environment is something we thought about a lot, trying to make sure you'd have time to stumble a little bit on your mana. Yeah, there's a lot of tools in the set. Definitely not a one-size-fits-all solution, just kind of a lot of little things to help make it easier.
Yeah. And then, Lauren, we've seen it a few times, but obviously we have the watermark here for the clan. Can you talk a little bit about how it was determined which cards got watermarks and which didn't?
Oh.
Yes. So generally, we kind of looked back at what was done in the original set and imitated, or not imitated, utilized that as kind of our baseline, as well as other sets that we've had with watermarks before. So this was anything that was 3-color or had the clan mechanic, and then I believe our monocolor legends also have the watermark.
Okay. All right. On that note, let's move on to some previews that are more focused on world building. They're still cool cards. They're great. But Lauren had some stories.
Unbiased.
Yeah. Lauren had some stories that she wanted to tell. So we're going to go through a few of these, and we're going to start with Rite of Renewal, which, even though it doesn't have the watermark, is pretty Sultai focused based on the
Rite
art
of Renewal,
and
return up to
the flavor
2
text. Tell us
target
about this,
permanent
Lauren.
cards from your graveyard to your
Yeah,
hand.
so one of the pieces
Target
that we
player
have
shuffles
in
up to
this set
4
is that
target
all of the
cards
decks
from
have
their
this returning color.
graveyard
So for the
into
Sultai,
their
it's green.
library.
And we
Exile
wanted,
Rite of
knowing
Renewal.
that we were
Exile
going to
Rite
have
of
more
Renewal.
cards kind of
Huh.
in that returning color for each clan to really bring that element to the forefront. So with the Sultai, it was a big shift away from, I would almost say like the sort of wasteful use of the dead. Now it's like the undead are very useful to us. And so this is showcasing the moment where they bring someone back so they don't lose that kind of knowledge and information that the person had.
Yeah. And so mechanically, obviously, JD and the Sultai have a mechanic that utilizes the graveyard, but how focused on the graveyard are Sultai?
Fairly focused, I would say. You could think of it as a very graveyard-focused value deck. Just a lot of ways to mill and a lot of ways to accrue some value from getting cards in your graveyard, whether it's putting a renew card in your graveyard or a card like this that lets you access it later.
Okay. Now let's take a look at Bearer of Glory, which is a relative. It's a strong common. This creature has first strike as a 2/1, 2-drop. It can later on pump your creatures. This is definitely something you'll play in various aggressive decks. But it was picked out, Lauren, because it has a cool visual continuity with a rare card that we just saw.
Yeah, so similar, so we have green as the returning color for Sultai, white as the returning color for Mardu, and for that we really wanted to showcase their military. And that includes the army, the people who fight,
During
but
your
also
turn,
the
this
sort of
creature has
supporting
first
elements
strike.
within the
Creatures you
the
control get
rallying
a +1/+1
cries
till
of
end
their
of
cards
turn.
to the
Voice of
bearers,
Victory mobilized 2 when this
I
creature
just
attacks.
love
Create 2
the
tapped
execution of
and
this kind of
create
two-piece,
2 tapped and
art
attacking
that
1/1
is
red
always wonderful
warrior
when we
creature
can pull
token.
off.
Sacrifice them at
Yep.
the beginning of
So
your
big shout out to the
next
art
end
director
step.
and the concept
Or
around
at
these pieces.
beginning of the next end
Well, and
step.
JD and these two
Your opponents can't
cards
cast
pair
spells.
pretty
Oh my
nicely
god!
together
Wow.
on the board as well.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I've seen that. I feel
Uh,
like I've seen something like that before in
Certainly
one of my
Bearer of
previous
Glory's,
decks.
one of the primary
Holy
use cases
cow.
in Limited is to get a bunch of mobilize up and make a big attack and activate your Bearer of Glory ability.
Very cool. All right, let's take a look at a cat and a bird. So this is Rescue Leopard and Aegis Sculptor. Lauren, why are we looking at? I mean, they're adorable. They're cute.
I want you to say that to the bird's face.
I was
When this creature
mostly
becomes
looking.
tapped, you may
mostly
discard
looking
a
at the
card. If you
Rescue
do,
Leopard.
you draw a
That's
card.
fair.
That's actually
The
not
Aegis
that
Sculptor
bad.
is good looking bird right there.
Thank
But that's
you. Yeah.
Aegis
that's not why they're up
Sculptor,
here.
Flying
Why
Ward
are we
2.
talking about
Okay,
these
yep.
two?
At the beginning of
So
your
the
upkeep,
Aegis
you may
Sculptor is a really
exile
good
2
example
cards from your
of,
graveyard. If you do,
and
you put a
JD kind of
1/1
mentioned it
counter on
previously
this
with the
creature.
Harmonize mechanic. The goal around that is really showcasing the teamer kind of magic and spell casting. And so we have a lot of blue teamer cards. And this is a really good example of kind of like the way in which they use their magic. And that was going to be a core focus of the clan this time, something that we could really emphasize. But they also still have a lot of creatures that work alongside them as a clan. And so we can see here with like the Rescue Leopard, it's not just any old cat. This is a cat that is kitted out and probably well fed. And just kind of is very clearly part of the clan so that we can kind of showcase that they have this sort of two-sided relationship between their magic, but also their relationship to the land and the creatures. And that is why I picked the name Harmonize. I know it doesn't technically draw cards, but it could draw cards. You could have a draw effect on a Harmonized card.
Yep.
I love the extent to which that kind of animal companion thing going on and helping spellcast really comes through
There's-
mechanically. Like Rescue Leopard.
Yeah, that-
if you think about the harmonized mechanic. Tap this to your harmonized thing.
Yeah.
Reduce it by 4. Get the trigger. It's so clean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of cutie patooties in the Teamer art, so look out for those ones.
Jadine, that was a really interesting call out on tapping being a way that works with Harmonize. I'm interested on Aegis Sculptor, so it utilizes and uses up your graveyard and sits in blue, and both Teamer and Sultai have graveyard mechanics. How does this one fit in?
Yeah, that is definitely kind of the overlap for blue here between Teamer and Sultai is just some amount of get stuff into your graveyard, whether it's a renew card or a harmonized card, and then have incentives to mill, and then other ways to use your graveyard once you're doing that. This also gets a counter, so it can benefit from some of those synergies. This one definitely is tapping into a lot going on in the set.
Very cool. All right, next, let's take a look at Undergrowth Leopard. I was saying before the show that I'm old, and so I had visions, pun intended, of Pouncing Jaguar from back in the day. This is not that. This is a different sort of cat. But why are we interested in this particular kitty, Lauren?
Yeah, so besides it being an adorable cat, one of the things that we see with the new Dragon Storms on Tarkir is that it is causing changes both to the landscape and to the creatures. So this cat is kind of an example of one of those. Perhaps was once upon a time a slightly more normal cat, but has now developed draconic elements to their design and their aesthetics. So we can see the kind of ridges and the scales along its back, and kind of the effect of the dragon storms across the whole plane. And it has, the classic cat ability.
Hey, get that out of my
to
chat,
enchantment
moderators.
Or artifact, because even in the jungle, they'll still knock that stuff off your table.
Yeah, and this is another in a
my
long
lord.
line of
Those
bears
bots
that
are
can
annoying
destroy
the crap out
artifacts
of me,
or
bro.
enchantments. Those are often Canadian Highlander playable. I got to get my one reference in. But yeah, overall solid card.
Good thing we didn't
and
log into Destiny
very
right
good.
away, because I know that
All
the
right,
servers were
let's
down, and I'm
move
like,
on to the next
I would have
set of
just.
previews.
I'm glad we went to this
So
first
we've
before
got four
favorite video
different
game
cards
has
here, and again,
server
people
stability.
who played in
Ooh, what do we
the
have
original
here?
block are gonna get some
J-Cast
familiar
Sentinel,
vibes here,
reach,
Lauren.
pay 2, put
Yeah,
tap, put
so
target
all of
card
these
from
are
graveyard
kind of,
on the
I would say,
bottom
more
of its
flavorful
owner's
callbacks to
library.
previous settings, and you can enjoy them
Weird.
without having ever played the
Watcher of the
previous Tarkir.
Wayside.
But Riverwatch
When this
Technique
creature
is
enters
actually one
target
that,
player mills
Prozac,
2 cards and you
the
gain
game
2
designer,
life.
put in the set as a very specific reference to a piece of flavor text from the previous set, which described a bunch of different techniques of the Jeskai. And I thought that was so wonderful, so we really wanted to keep
Riverwalk
that in this
technique, the
card.
owner of a target
The
null and
Watcher of the
opponent puts it
Wayside, we've seen
on their
this
choice at the
little
top or
golem
bottom
in
of the
multiple
library. Oh,
different
wow.
iterations, so I
Counter
wanted to make
target
sure that
non-creature
they,
spell.
we saw what they were up to this time. They're having a
Submit
day.
Intimidator,
Summon
Yeti,
Intimidator. Of
reach.
course,
When this
there's gotta
creature
be a
enters,
Yeti,
target creature
and then
can't block
possibly
this
one of
turn.
the
Oh,
weirdest
wow.
creatures that I think we've ever had
Huh.
in Tarkir was the ape snake.
Ain't that something?
And so we wanted to make a reference to that as well, and this one is a gargoyle Karu City.
Yeah, anyone who played old Tarkir Limited, the Summit Intimidator, it's not the exact card. It looks sort of like it because there was an art through line in that one for Summit Prowler, I believe it was called. This is a different card, slightly different card.
It was also mechanically a reference to it as well.
Yep. All right, and then our final 2 world building previews, not our final 2 previews, we're still going. But we've got Seize Opportunity and Cruel Truths. So, Lauren, what are these depicting?
Seize
So both of
opportunity,
these
choose
are
one, exile the
showcasing
top 2
moments
cards
from
from
the
library.
side
Till
fiction.
the end of
So
your
we have
next
5
turn, you may
stories, one
play
focused on
those
each of the
cards.
clans that go
Up to 2
alongside our
target
main set
creatures
story, so definitely
each
go
get
check those
plus
out.
2/+1
They're
until
on
end of turn.
mtgstory.com.
Cruel Truth, surveil 2, then draw 2 cards.
That's
So
You
we have
lose
the
2 life.
first one, Seize Opportunity, is from the Mardu side story, which the slight spoiler is that it features Palace Cat mounts. And Cruel Truths, which is from the Sultai side story, which gives you a little bit of a hint and information about what Sidisi has been up to since she has once again been ousted for power. She's just also having a day.
JD, on Seize Opportunity, that's an interesting combination of options on that modal spell.
Yep. We knew we wanted some card in this space that would be a team pump option to play alongside your mobilized cards. But we found that ended up being a little too powerful when we do like a full trumpet blast style thing.
Okay.
So to get something that was still fairly strong in the set but more generally useful, we put it as a modal option on the effect here.
Cool. All right, let's move into the section I just have labeled more previews because we wanted to keep going and show some more cards. This set is going to tickle the fancy of a certain kind of player, the +1/+1 counter lover. So let's take a look at Stalwart Successor. So a 3/2 human warrior with menace for 1 black and a green. Whenever 1 or more counters are put on a creature you control, if it's the first time this turn, then you can put another +1 counter on
What
that
the
creature. So,
Bro!
in other sets, we might have what's called Signpost Uncommons. This is a 3-color set.
Yep.
So is this still a Signpost Uncommon? What role is this card playing?
I'll say kind of. So if you drafted Khans of Tarkir, the secret to drafting the 3-color set is that you want to start your draft off in a enemy color combination that gives you access to 2 of the 3-color wedges. Here, Stalwart Successor as a black-green card can play with the Abzan and be black-green-white, or it can play with the Sultai and be blue-black-green.
Yeah.
So you often want to center yourself in one of those enemy color, 2-color combinations, and then figure out which 3rd color you're going to incorporate as the draft goes on. So kind of a signpost. There is a lot of gold cards in this set, so I don't know that it's fair to say this is like a true signpost. There's also 3-color uncommons that we'll see when the set comes out that are probably the more classic signposts. But this is kind of showing you what the synergies you can tap into as the 2-color combination. Here between Sultai and Abzan, we have that counters thing I was talking about. You can endure to get counters or you can renew to get counters. Either way, this card will be useful, and it kind of sets you up for a lot of different synergy paths your draft might take.
Yeah, I mean, often these types of cards typically are worded if you put a +1/+1 counter on a creature, put an additional one, but this cares about any counter, which is a really cool bridge between those two. All right, next, let's take a look at Duty Beyond Death. So this is 1 and a white, an instant that says, as an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature. Creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn, and put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control.
Yeah.
Duty Beyond Death?
You know,
As an additional
team
cost to
protection,
cast a
counter,
spell,
very powerful.
sacrifice a
At the cost
creature.
of
Creatures. Oh
sacrificing
my
a creature.
god.
That's a fair drawback for the efficiency
Wow.
and the amount of upside you're getting here. In this set, what would I want to sacrifice in my go wide strategy? Maybe a mobilized token that's going away anyway. Just very satisfying.
Yeah. Very cool. Next up, we have a card that is part of a cycle, and we saw another part of the cycle in the debut. So we have Corroding Dragonstorm. So this one in particular, and then we'll talk about the cycle. 1 and a black for an enchantment.
When this enchantment
that when it
enters,
enters, each opponent loses 2 life. You gain 2 life. You surveil 2.
each opponent
and
loses
then
2
when a
life, and you
dragon
gain 2
control
life. Surveil
enters,
2.
return this enchantment to its owner's hand. So JD, let's talk about the cycle mechanically, and then Lauren will move into what this is depicting in the set.
Yeah, it's really easy thinking about this set to get carried away by the clans and go, okay, 3-color faction set, I'm going to draft Mardu or I'm going to draft Abzan. I kind of know what those clans do. I know what their mechanic is. I know what the synergies are. But Tarkir also brings the dragon element, and we wanted every color and every clan to have access to tapping into Dragons Matter synergies. So this cycle at Uncommon, 1 for each of the monocolors, is just a way to encourage every deck to play dragons, and you will draft decks that feel like dragon decks more than they feel like one of the clan decks
This
that are just
enchantment enters, each
playing
opponent
a
loses
lot of
2.
dragons and getting
Okay,
really
so an
rewarded
opponent would
with
lose
these
2
dragon
life.
storms,
I would
which,
gain 2.
can
And
be
then I get to
very
surveil
powerful and
2.
start to
So
take
that
over
would
the
mean
game, in the right spots.
Now, Lauren, obviously the set is called
Put any
Tarkir
number of them
Dragon
into your
Storm.
graveyard and the rest of the okay.
But talk about having these in the set for setting the world building.
Yeah, so with the set with Tarkir, it is one of its really unique features is these storms. Much to my disappointment, dragons are not actually hatched, so there's no like cute baby dragon eggs in this plane. They are born fully formed from these storms, which is a particular facet of this plane. So when thinking about what is an ongoing kind of peril to the lives of everyone on this plane, it is these storms going from, I'd say, like the category 3s to like our category 5s. So these are kind of off the charts, very dangerous things that are happening that threaten all life on the plane, the clans, the people, the non-dragons. Really, only if you're a dragon are you happy with them. And so the storms were intended kind of pretty early on to be a feature in the plane, and they eventually settled into this cycle of enchantment, so we could just put this sick art on these cards and have something that felt very dragon flavorful and kind of show it across the entire plane.
Yeah. Yeah, the draconic treatment on this really, it really hits home. All right. Now, everyone's favorite, we're going to have a color pie discussion, Jadine, because our next card is not something we've seen very often. So this is Sunset Strike Master, 1 in a red for a 3/1 human monk. Those are all normal things. It's got an ability for 2 in a red to sacrifice this creature, deal 6 damage to creature with flying. That's, fairly par for the course for red. But it's got that tap, add red. This is a mana dork in red.
Right. Yeah. The
see.
the wild new thing about this card.
I
is
got
that
any
since
red,
it's
white,
just
black?
Tap, add
Was it
red.
red, white,
It's
black
not.
for
When this
Nirav?
creature attacks, add red. You spend that mana only to cast creature spells or
Right.
something like that.
Yeah,
Mana creatures
red, white, black.
are unrestricted, new space for red, trying to push red to have more defensive tools and more ways to play a longer game. And that was something we had identified. We were having some issues with designing cards and getting all our colors to play the way we wanted them to. Color pie, is not a static thing. We make adjustments from time to time to help out gameplay. Red's always been a mana color, so this isn't a huge departure in that vein. We're just kind of
Said rituals or
Right.
like sacrifice this to add mana.
right. You shouldn't expect red mana creatures to outclass green mana creatures. Green is absolutely still first and foremost the best at this. And red will not be pushing into land ramp space. There won't be a red rampant growth or a red farseek. Red ramp here needs to be interactable, so on creatures. But yeah, we're doing more of this.
All right. So you said that it won't outclass green, but you did say this might be a sort of normal thing. Are we going to see this semi-regularly then?
Yep.
Okay. All right. You heard it here first. Red can just tap to add mana now. All right. Now let's go back into the references that old people like myself love. So we've got Ringing Strike Mastery, which again, just visually and mechanically, is a callback to what, JD?
Yeah, the card is, oh no, now I'm going to mess it up. Singing Bell Strike?
You got it. You
okay,
did it.
great.
Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah, we looked at a lot of the creative and visual callbacks earlier. This one is a very direct mechanical callback to a card you may remember from the first Khans of Tarkir. Just kind of interesting shape for a common removal spell, not the kind of thing we do a lot. So it's very memorable, I think, just the very peculiar set of upsides and downsides on this style of effect. So we refreshed it a little bit. This isn't a straight reprint, different numbers, but still a very similar feeling.
Yeah. I played a lot of Singing Bell Strike back in the day. It cost 1 in a blue, and the untap, I think, was 6.
Yep.
But otherwise, it was pretty much the same deal. All right. I'm all about the callbacks. Makes me feel seen. Next up, another, at least there's a name in this callback. So Salt Road Pack Beast. But it's also got some both mechanical and flavor things to talk about here. So Jadine, let's start with you.
All right, this is another of the cards I would say is one of Play Design's favorite cards, this time for limited games. Just found this to be a very fun common. One of our many efforts to give Mobilize and those temporary tokens something meaningful to do that is not just get a lot of damage in. So you can get your wide board, deploy this for cheap, and kind of have tools for a long game. It also blends with Endure as another way of going wide in white, and just a really fun card to play with.
Oh yeah, chat's already talking about the pauper implications and how strong this can be, and you can cast it for 1 white. But Lauren, they're also talking about why this isn't a camel dragon.
Well, one, we didn't want to put the dragon type on anything that wasn't actually a dragon. And this one is more referencing, like, Tarkir has been kind of known for its beast creatures, so we wanted to stick with that in the space. I believe I did some digging at the time when picking the creature type to kind of see what visual similarities there were, and I was like, well, I'm going to stick with beast on this because it has all of these very dramatic dragon-like elements, but it's just a little weirdo, but it's a weird camel if you want to call it that.
Yeah. And Jeannie, you may or may not know the answer to this because this may be more of a rules templating style question, but it's a good question that chat's saying. So we recently did do some erratas to give a lot of things affinity for their thing, whatever it is, when affinity wasn't there before. Why doesn't this have affinity for creatures, for example?
Yeah, I don't have a good answer to this. It certainly could.
Someone else will know the answer to it, but it may be a timing thing. And that would be my guess, is that we made the change after this had all gone to print. But someone somewhere will answer it. It's a great question for Mark Rosewater's blog or us on social media. All right. Next, let's move into Yathen Tomb Guard. So this is 2 and a black for a human warrior, 2/3. The warrior type, even though there's no typal warrior stuff in this set, really, those who remember, warriors were a big creature type back in the day. But this one, whenever a creature you control with a counter on it deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. Jadine, where's this straddling the line in the set?
This is going between the Sultai Renew mechanic and the Abzan Endure mechanic, and rewarding you for some of those counter synergies, which is nice, one, because it blends the line between those two things and is just very useful as a way to let you play with a lot of cards. But it's also really helpful for the Endure mechanic, where the choice between counters on this creature and a whole nother useful creature can be a pretty lopsided choice in a lot of spots. So incentives towards putting the counters on the creature is always useful, so that choice balances out a bit.
Yeah.
You noted warriors, so we have warriors and soldiers in this set, and there was a little bit of generally more of the soldiers are in Abzan and more of the warriors are in Mardu, just sort of kind of building the clan's flavor. But we had several edge cases, and I will say the line that me and my co-narrative designers were working on was basically like, how much main character energy do they have? And they became warriors. So if you're curious why this one's a warrior, I felt like they had very good main character
They
energy.
do have a lot of main character energy.
That is really coming through from the art.
I like that.
Because there's no typal effects in this set, so we wanted to kind of use it more for a flavor and a card type match.
Yep. Main character energy. All right. Next up, let's take a look at 3 cards together. Reigning Victor, Marshal of the Law,
Whoa.
and Purging Stormbrood, and you see that draconic version on the right. So
Purging
these are all
Stormbrood.
members of important
Target creature
cycles.
gains
So why
+2/+2,
don't you
gains
talk about how the
lifelink and
cycles
hexproof
generate
until
these
end of
cards?
turn. Flying
definitely,
ward,
yeah.
pay 2 life. When this
Smattering
creature
of
enters,
unlimited
remove
cycles
all
here.
counters
This
from
isn't all
up to
of them,
1
but
target
here's a bit
creature.
of a taste. We've seen another of the Reigning Victor cycle before. This is a common 2-brid cycle for 3-color cards. A lot of attention on these cards to making them strong when you get to play them on turn 3, but not overwhelmingly so, and not in a snowbally way. Want these cards to be powerful 3-color rewards, but not dominate the game when your mana works, and still be useful later in the game when it doesn't, and taking advantage of the 2-brid mechanic. Marshal of the Lost, we saw the black-green gold card at Uncommon before. Here is one for white-black, another enemy pair, going between Abzan and Mardu here, so very go wide focused and kind of the overlap between those two. So yeah, you have these at uncommon. They can help get you solidly into a 2-color enemy pairing, and then you can figure out what clan you want to take 3rd color of cards for down the road.
And lots of main character energy with those two as well.
I see the warrior type here, and then finally we have Purging Stormbrood. This is a 2-color, again, always enemy in this set. That is the way that things work out well for the 3-color combinations of Omen Dragons that are multicolored at uncommon. So just kind of useful cards that we're hoping you play in basically all of your limited decks that are these 2 colors, and just nifty things that can help get you cemented in a lane.
Yeah, I also think the interesting on the ability on the dragon side of purging Stormbrood is interesting. There we go. I got those words in that sentence in the order correct. Removing counters, not something we typically do, but there's a lot of counters flying around in this set.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, often not the biggest deal, but in this set with Renew specifically, a lot of potential to build up a monster of a creature that has a ton of counters and a ton of keywords and can really start dominating the game. So this is just a light little bit of counterplay and counterplay, nice. Letting you kind of take that away and punish your opponent for putting too many eggs in one basket.
Yeah, purging it.
And most of our dragon cards in the set, unless they're the 3-color dragons, are showcasing just the wild weirdness of the wild dragons. So that's what the Stormbrood's reflecting.
Very
This is
cool.
a weird guy. I love
He's a little weird guy, but seems pretty strong. All right, now let's move into, so Jadine talked a little earlier about some of the challenges of making a 3-color set work. Let's take a look at some of the solutions. So this is also sort of a callback to Tarkir, where we had artifacts that did
Abzan Monument,
something to
whenever
help
this
fix
artifact
your mana.
enters.
In this, it's going to be
That's
a
okay,
monument
white, black, or
cycle.
green.
So Abzan Monument. When this artifact enters, search your library for a basic Planeswalker Forest card, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle. It costs 2 mana, and then it's got an ability for 1 and Abzan colors to sacrifice this artifact, create an XX white spirit creature token where X is the greatest toughness on creatures you control. Activate as a sorcery, and we're going to see this. It's not this exact card, because that ability is going to change, but this sort of version of it as we go through these. So, Jadine, talk about these as important to Limited.
Yeah, so, you know, level 1, this is a pretty powerful mana-fixing card. Just full-on, get a land for free. It's not going to the top of your deck. You're just grabbing it, fixing your mana. These are colorless artifacts, of course, so it doesn't matter what color you're missing. You can always use this, which is pretty important for a 3-color set. Green is, you know, the best at doing this, but not all of the color combinations are green, and we want everybody's mana to work, so we need some of this stuff in colorless. This cycle went through a ton of iteration and different shapes, trying to find the most fun way to put power into these cards. One of the things we really wanted to do was make
Sultai
sure that the
Monument, okay.
mana-fixing cards
Black, green,
both
blue.
helped you in the early game and didn't feel bad to prioritize during the draft, and because you need to take them, and it's kind of like eating your vegetables a lot of the time.
Yeah.
When you have kind of not that strong cards that you have to put in your deck to make it work. So we thought it would be more fun if we got cards you were really excited to put in your deck that also helped you out. And I think we found a really nice spot here of a blend of helping you early, and then later in the game you have this resource that you'll have access to for some more creatures. Pretty fun cards to play with.
It's always nice when your mana fixing then gives you something else a little bit later.
Yeah.
All right. There's all 5 for the cycle. All right, and then of course there's some dual lands. We went with some tried
Mardu
and
Monument.
true
I'll have to go back to
commons
that.
for this set. Obviously, JD and I assume these
For
are relatively important.
me see if I
Absolutely.
can't
You
find
need a
that.
source of multiple colors in mana, help you play full 3 colors,
here
or
we go.
splash some of your 3-color cards for your 2-color deck. Either way, these will help.
Now, Lauren, we've seen these cards before, but it seems like the team always does something interesting with the art and the concept around them.
We love playing with art. One of the things that's interesting in the set is, right, because so much of the focus is on the enemy color pairs, so we really wanted to play off of the fact that there are allied pairs and enemy pairs. So on the allied pairs, we can see art of a moment of tenuous peace between clans. So you'll see one member or a group from one clan in kind of another clan's area or territory.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the, I think the most obvious one is probably Tranquil Cove. You can see like an Abzan caravan moving through a Jeskai, like past Jeskai monastery. And then in the other cycle, in the enemy, really playing up that enemy side, we just see the aftermath of a brutal conflict between two different sides. And so that was very fun to kind of showcase the duality of what's happening on the plane.
Yeah, very cool. All right, and we've also got some basic lands in the set that have some of the coolest art treatments that we've seen in a while. So these are full art lands, but they're very draconic. So here we have the Dragon's Presence basic lands, and we're going to talk about where you can get these and the other basic lands in a moment. But yeah, these are gorgeous, and they just give you that shadow of the dragon.
They're always watching. You're always potentially a lunch.
And then the ones that got quite a bit of response, rightfully so, during the debut video, the Dragon's Eye basic lands. These are gorgeous.
Honestly, though, if you're this close, you are definitely lunch.
Yeah, you wouldn't. This is a rare view of a dragon.
Yeah, maybe the last one that you would have.
All right, and then let's talk a little bit about, let's see our next slide. There we are. All right, so there's going to be a Collecting Tarkir Dragonstorm article up on Daily MTG where you'll be able to get all the details, but here is the overview. So specifically on those basic lands, the Draconic Presence basic lands, the first ones we showed with the Shadow, those are going to be found in both play and collector boosters. You're going to get them basically anywhere you're opening packs of Tarkir Dragonstorm. The Dragon's Eye basic lands are going to be found in collector boosters. And then going down the list of treatments, Draconic cards, the treatments for any of the dragons and dragon-related cards, those can be found in both play and collector. The Borderless Reversible, so those are the rare dragons plus Ugin that are the little baby on the one side, and the grown-up version on the other side, those can be found in any. The Borderless Clan cards that we saw with Taigam, those can be found in any in play or collector boosters. And then in collector boosters, the Dragon's Eye basic lands, you'll find those. You'll find the extended art, which we do kind of every set. And then the various Ghostfire treatments. The Ghostfire and the Halo Foil Ghostfire treatments are going to be found there. The serialized headliner that mocks Jasper, that is going to be in the collector booster, and also very hard to find, as well as the Dragon Scale Foil. And then the special guests, which were revealed in the debut video as the ultimatums, as well as the enemy fetch lands. Those can be found in both play boosters and collector boosters. The difference is going to be the non-foils will be found in play boosters and the foils will be found in collector boosters. We've still got a few more things to show off before we sign off. So Commander reveals are coming up, but not happening yet. Real quick, you're going to see the Jeskai Striker deck revealed on 319 on Command Zone. You're going to see Mardu Surge revealed on 320 on Infrusuentus. I pronounced that terribly, I'm sure. Tolarian Community College will be revealing Sultai Arisen on 321. Commander at Home on 324 will be revealing the Abzan Armor deck. And this show, right here, next week, we'll be revealing the Temur Roar deck. So come back next week to talk about that deck. But we've got a couple Commander cards that you love. They're in basically every set, but they got Draconic upgrades here. So we've got Arcane Signet, Sol Ring, and Command Tower, all highlighting Tarkir-focused art.
These were a lot of fun. It was tricky because there's no clan neutral thing to showcase, so we kind of just went with whatever was most thematic between each of the clans for the concept of the card.
All right, and then another card that is sure to be a favorite. There's going to be a play promo that you'll see. Again, you'll see how to get this if you head to dailymtg.com. But we are making a wastes version of the Dragon's Eye basic land. This will not be found in boosters. This is going to be a promo. There's no colorless theme in Tarkir Dragonstorm. No wastes, but we still wanted to make this because it's cool and awesome. And so that's going to be a play promo. Head to dailymtg.com to learn more about how to get this waste that goes perfectly with your Ugin deck. All right, and then we just talked about the reversible cards that show the baby dragons and the grown-up dragons. Well, Secret Lair wanted to get in on that. So there's going to be a drop called They Grow Up So Fast. That's going to be part of the Our Bosses on Vacation super drop starting March 24th at 9 a.m. And this is going to showcase some of our favorite dragons from original Tarkir block. So let's take a look at those. So again, these are reversible. You're going to get Dragon Lord Atarka here in full-fledged form, and a little baby Dragon Lord Atarka there on the right. So again, those are reversible. This is one card. We'll cycle through these as I talk through it. This drop is going to be available in foil and non-foil for $39.99 for foil, $29.99 for non-foil. Oh, baby Dragon Lord Dramoka.
You're so cute.
So cute.
Flying and
That's also
haste.
my
Other
favorite.
creatures you control have haste whenever an opponent casts a creature or planeswalker spell with the same name as the card player.
So this drop is going to feature
Oh.
the 5 original Dragon Lords from Dragons of Tarkir. Like I said, it's reversible. You're obviously going to play with the baby side. I mean,
It's objectively the correct side to play
it's
with.
objectively the correct choice. But you know what? If you want to show that they're all grown up, you can do that too. The art is by Antonio Jose Manzanato. And you can head to magicsecretlair.com to get notified for when the sale begins. Baby Silumgar might be my favorite.
Yeah, it's a pretty close one. I think
Yeah.
I'm still on Kolokon, but yeah, Silumgar's a good runner-up.
Yeah. So those are adorable and will be available March 24th. We do have one more preview card before we go. Before I do that, a couple things. As I said, next week's show, we're going to reveal the entire Temur Roar Commander deck, so that'll be a good time. Also, MagicCon Las Vegas early bird badge sales and ticketed play. That is all starting this Thursday, March 20th at 10 a.m. So MagicCon Vegas is always one of the highlights of the year. This year it's happening in June, which is a little bit of a different time for Vegas. The early bird prices are going to be available only until March 28th. So that opens this Thursday, March 20th at 10 a.m. All right, and reminder, again, we have one more preview card, but April 4th, if you're looking forward to Tarkir Dragonstorm, is going to be your first chance to play at your local game store for a pre-release. This is going to be a big one, so reserve your spot early, and then it's going to come to digital platforms, Magic the Gathering Arena and Magic the Gathering Online on April 8th, followed by the global release on April 11th. And with all that out of the way, we couldn't do this show without revealing at least one Spirit Dragon.
Ooh.
So
Spirit
for
Dragon.
our last preview, we've got Tevel, Arbiter of Virtue. So 2, a black, a green, and a blue. It's Sultai. Spirit Dragon. It's got lifelink. It's got flying, of course. 6/6. Spells you cast have delve. Nothing bad has ever happened with that ability before. And whenever you cast a spell, you lose life equal to its mana value. So, Jadine, this card is wild.
Yeah, this card is really cool. I barely know where to start talking about it. The Spirit Dragons we took really seriously. This set needed awesome, awesome dragons to just show how cool they are. Everybody loves dragons. This card, it's a real appealing mix of upside and downside here. A card type I personally love a lot. But spells you cast have delve, incredibly powerful line of text. There are so much nonsense you can do with this. Whenever you cast a
Ooh,
spell,
that
you
looks
lose life equal to
sick.
its mana value. You probably don't want that. Maybe you do. Maybe you're a Death Shadow kind of person, and this is exciting. In some narrow cases, sure.
If this,
But it's
if
kind of
if
counterbalancing the delve
Nirhav
with it,
doesn't work,
and
then
this is a
Teval
5
will be
mana,
a good
6/6
backup.
flying lifelink creature. You're
Yeah.
gonna have access to
Holy
some
bells,
life.
dude.
This is the last time I'll get to say it this show, but this is a card playtest and play design found
Yeah, we're gonna finish
incredibly
this
fun.
later.
Just really doing
Title
pretty
this one
cool
Magic,
things,
so people can watch that later
and
on.
just having really good games. Also, not my department. This is my pick for the favorite art in the set.
This
really,
is wait, which
I love
one of
this
them?
idea.
the main set.
The main
yeah,
set?
Yeah.
That is gorgeous.
I definitely want to give a shout out. So Alexander Ocharovsky was one of our concept artists on the push and was one of the folks who designed a lot of the Spirit Dragons. And so for Shell, the lead art director, had the original concept artist for the Spirit Dragons come back and do their final piece. So it was just kind of this beautiful continuity, but a really they turned out, all of them turned out so amazing. But
Well,
yeah,
and I
love
love
the
that
teal color.
Yeah, and I love that all
Symbol-wise.
three of these, they depict the same dragon, but they're all pretty distinct art styles, and so you can kind of pick and choose which one suits you best. All right, that's it for today. Previews are going to be ongoing this week and next as we learn more about Tarkir Dragonstorm. If you want to dive even deeper and learn more details about a certain part of the set, whether it's mechanics or how and where to collect certain treatments or cards, head to dailymtg.com. All of that's getting updated probably as we speak, if not already up there. Otherwise, thank you, Lauren and Jadine, for joining us, and thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
And that's it. There we go, chat. All right, we're gonna cut this stream off because that's the end of Magic the Gathering stream. And then we're gonna go to Destiny. So, this will be on YouTube if you guys want to look back, look at all the cards. They'll be on YouTube, so they'll be on. The video should be up for it. So if you guys just click off of this and you still want to watch, scroll back and look at the cards while the stream ends, you can do that, and then it'll still be on your YouTube history. So there's that for you guys. All right. I'm going to get moving on, so if you guys want to go see me play Destiny, don't go anywhere, I guess. But if you guys are heading out, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out, and yeah. Till then, gamers, enjoy the reading on those Dragonstorm Tarkir set. So if you guys are interested in those, or more information, like the guy said in the stream, go to dailymtg.com. And that's pretty much about it. So, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys later. And for those that are wanting to watch Destiny, I'll see you guys in a little bit. So, thank you guys, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out.